Namo Buddhaya. Have you ever wondered why some people have the natural ability to make everyone feel comfortable, appreciated, and understood? You might think it's their charm or their words, but often it's something much more subtle. It's the way they listen. Imagine sitting in a conversation where the other person seems to be hanging on your every word, fully present, deeply engaged. Wouldn't that make you feel valued? In a world that constantly demands our attention and prompts us to speak up, the real secret to being liked is surprisingly simple. Listen more and talk less. In this video, we'll uncover a hidden gem of human interaction, the art of active listening, and explore how mastering this skill can transform your relationships, both personal and professional. The story begins, a lesson from the past. Still fresh in my mind is a lesson from childhood that continues to resonate. I remember one of my teachers entering our noisy classroom, raising her voice to ask, "Do you know why we've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth?" At that moment, the class fell silent. She smiled and explained, "It's so we can listen more and talk less." That simple statement stayed with me. Little did I know, it was a key to understanding how we interact with others. As I grew older, I began to realize just how important that lesson was. So often, we rush to fill silences with our words, eager to share our thoughts, opinions, or solutions. But in doing so, we miss an opportunity to truly connect with others. Listening, it turns out, is the doorway to empathy and understanding. Why listening matters. Insights from the temple. At our temple, countless people come to speak with the monks about their personal struggles. One recurring theme is the feeling of not being heard. "No one listens to me," they say. Whether it's issues at home or difficulties at work, people are desperate to feel understood. And when they feel ignored, it only deepens their sense of isolation. In contrast, the practice of active listening can turn these experiences around. When you genuinely listen without rushing to offer advice or interrupt, you create space for others to share their stories, their pain, and their joy. This simple act of attention can change how others perceive you. In fact, it's a trait that can make you more likable. People gravitate toward those who make them feel heard. Lessons from the Buddha. Compassion through listening. Throughout his life, the Buddha was known for his deep compassion and his ability to truly listen. One day, a man approached him, hurling insults and accusations. Instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, the Buddha did something remarkable. He simply listened. He absorbed the man's words, allowing him to express his emotions without judgment or interruption. In the end, the man was disarmed, not by words, but by the Buddha's calm and compassionate presence. Another story recounts the time a grieving mother came to the Buddha, her son having just passed away. As she wept, the Buddha didn't try to explain life's impermanence or offer philosophical advice. Instead, he listened. He acknowledged her pain by giving her the gift of his full attention. This act of silent empathy was all she needed in that moment to feel comforted. These stories illustrate that listening, at its core, is an act of love and compassion. It's about recognizing the humanity in others and being fully present with them, even in their darkest moments. Practical tips. How to practice active listening. So, how can you apply this practice in your own life? Start by being mindful of your thoughts and reactions during conversations. Buddhism teaches a practice called cittanopassana, which involves observing your thoughts without reacting to them. When you're mindful of what's happening in your mind, you can more easily control your speech and decide when it's appropriate to speak. and more importantly, when it's time to listen. Here's how you can get started. Mindfulness meditation. Find a quiet space and sit in stillness. Pay attention to your thoughts as they arise, but don't engage with them. Just let them pass like clouds drifting in the sky. This practice trains you to be less reactive and more present in conversations. Engage fully in conversations. The next time you're in a conversation, make a conscious effort to listen more. Focus entirely on what the other person is saying, without planning your response. Avoid the temptation to interrupt or offer advice unless it's asked for. Just listen. Ask thoughtful questions. After the person has spoken, instead of immediately offering your opinion, ask questions that show you're interested in their experience. Tell me more about that, or how did that make you feel? These questions encourage deeper dialogue and show that you genuinely care. Let's bring this concept to life with a few real-world examples. At work. Imagine you're in a meeting, and a colleague is sharing a challenging project update. Instead of jumping in with suggestions, take a step back and ask, "Can you explain the difficulties you've encountered in more detail?" This will not only make your colleague feel valued, but you might also learn something that helps you offer more relevant support later on. Picture this. Your partner comes home after a tough day, clearly frustrated. Instead of offering solutions right away, simply listen. Nod, maintain eye contact, and let them vent. When they're done, say, "That sounds really tough. How can I support you right now?" Sometimes, what people need most is to be heard, not fixed. In friendships. During a conversation with a friend, resist the urge to share your own similar experience. Instead, focus on their story. Ask them to dive deeper into what they're feeling and offer your full attention. The pitfalls of listening to respond. Many of us fall into the habit of listening with the intention of responding, not understanding. We prepare our rebuttal or our advice, often missing the deeper message that the speaker is trying to convey. When we do this, we make the conversation about us, rather than about the person in front of us. To counter this tendency, practice listening to understand, not to reply. Take a step back and remind yourself that your role in the conversation is not to fix or solve, but simply to be present and supportive. By doing this, you'll create more meaningful connections and build stronger relationships. The lesson. Transform your relationships through listening. The art of active listening is not just about being silent. It's about being fully engaged with the other person. It's about showing compassion, empathy, and understanding through your presence. Whether in personal relationships, at work, or with friends, listening more and talking less is a powerful way to connect with others on a deeper level. So, the next time you are in a conversation, remember this simple lesson. Listen more than you speak. Not only will people start to like you more, but you'll also find that your relationships become richer and more fulfilling. By practicing active listening, you're offering others a gift, the gift of being truly heard. The power of listening in our lives. In a world full of noise, be the person who listens. It might just be the key to building stronger, more compassionate, and more meaningful connections with those around you. Start today. Sit with someone and listen, not to reply, but to understand. You might be surprised at how much you learn about others and yourself.